So let me move this away. Cool. So today I'm going to talk to you about the Camino de Santiago and walking and or cycling, right? Uh, the Camino de Santiago. If at any moment you have any question, please do feel free to ask them in the commentary either on Zoom for those who are using Zoom or on Facebook, and I will make sure that we go through the question either while I'm talking about the subject or at a later stage during the talk, right? What I would say to you is that this is your session, guys. So I've done the Camino many times. I do not count that I've cycled over 700 kilometers of the Camino. I've walked over 1,500 kilometers of the Camino. So yeah, I've done my bit. I've had a couple of blisters. I've had great joy and experiences, and I'm here to try and share that with you to give you a bit of a flavor of it and hopefully to help you organize your trip. Uh, what I would say is I will talk about the Camino in general. Okay. If some of you have done the Camino already, please do put a note there just so that I know uh, who is the audience. If some of you have not done the Camino and have something in mind, what I mean by that is uh, you know that you would like to do the French way or the Portuguese way or anything else. Same thing. Just drop a little line in the question session, and that will help me uh, basically customize a bit what we're going to talk about and answer more of your questions. Okay. Um, so we're going to talk about the Camino, some recommendations of route general, and some advice on training and packing. Okay. Let me to the next slide. So just a bit about us. Follow the Camino is a 1 foot abroad brand. It's a company that I set up in 2006, based in Dublin, Ireland, and we have a very dedicated team of agents that really love what they do and love organizing trips for people. We've got a lot of experience, and we love what we do, and we organize great trips. Our customers are really happy. We've got great reviews because we do a good job. We like to organize trip for you guys because for us, our customers or ourselves, we're the same thing. We we put ourselves in your shoes so that we try to give you the best experience as possible. Okay, and we work with great suppliers on the ground, accommodations. We organize luggage transfer and so on. So you are in good hands. So the Camino, we have Sharon who wants to do the French way. Sharon, I'll talk about the French way. So meanwhile, do not hesitate to put questions, comments, anything that will help me give you more information. If you see me moving and my eyes going around, it's because I'm on two screens. So I'm trying to check both Facebook and uh, the, the, the Facebook live interaction. All right. So follow the Camino, organize walking holidays on the Camino de Santiago. We have uh, various different routes. Some of them are along the coast, some of them are more inland. And what we do is that we choose the best route for people. We also select the accommodation depending on your wants and your budget. Okay, I want a very luxurious trip. Let's see what we can do. We can organize things for 5-star hotel. You know what? I want to good, nice hotels. We organize usually 3-3 star hotels accommodation all the way, which is usually what people really like. You know, something very comfortable. And some people are more on a budget. And here we can have a mix of hostels or other budget accommodations. Anyway, whenever we're talking about that, it's something that you discuss with your agent, and we tailor that for you. We organize luggage transfer so that while you are walking the Camino, you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to pack that thing, and when you are looking for your cream and it's at the bottom of the bag, no. You have your small 5-10 liters backpack with your sun cream, a mobile phone, passport, and off you go. And we also send you a holiday pack with a pilgrim passport, a scallop shell, and the luggage tag as well. Everything else we send to you by email, and we give you access to your own customer area where you have all the locations for each accommodation, maps, and so on. We even have a mobile app that tells you where you are on the trail and where your accommodation is. All right, so you can go and have the best experience possible, and support, because planning takes some time, uh, because everybody is different and might want to customize something, stay an extra night here, stay an extra night there. That's something we work out with you. And also because on the Camino, sometimes something happened, you got an injury or something, and we might help you skip one town or something like this. All right, so let's talk about the various routes. Well, Shannon, we're going to talk about how to advise on the various routes, and that's exactly what I'm going to talk about now. Before I do that, is just to go through a bit of a history of the Camino. The Camino is a pilgrimage that started at the end of the 9th century when um, the Pelayo, a monk, saw the remains of Saint James on the hills in Galicia, in this part of Spain. Uh, and basically, he found the remain of Saint James that basically brought the attraction of Christians from all around the world, which at the time, sorry for that, my American friends, but the world was limited to that west part of Europe. We didn't know about the Americas just then. So anyway, uh, at this time, the pilgrimage to Santiago, Santiago meaning Saint James, um, started with the first pilgrimage coming from Oviedo, this green dot here, the king of Asturias, who came on horseback. And as you may know, at the time, the Muslims, had invaded the whole south of Europe up to Poitiers in the middle of France. And this is the start in history of La Reconquista, or the reconquiring of the Christian over the Moors. And so many pilgrims, Christians, were given a plenary indulgence. Basically, people were forgiven from all of their sins uh, if they were making the pilgrimage to the tomb of Saint James. So, really, really amazing history along the way. There are 9 routes, uh, 9 main routes. The Camino means the way. The Camino de Santiago means the way of Saint James. So, in theory and through time, people would leave from their doorstep, wherever that was, and walk all the way to Santiago. Not only they would walk all the way, but they would also walk back home. Okay, so it's just to give you an idea of how important the pilgrimage was. And even in medieval times, there was few hundred thousands of pilgrims reaching Santiago every year. Massive, very, very important. Um, the main route that people walked was the French way. Uh, this yellow line on the map, going from the French-Spanish border, a town called Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, going all the way through the Pyrenees and all the way through to Santiago. I will describe the route in a bit more details in a few moments. Just to let you know, that's the main route. The French way is the main route because the first guidebook ever written, the Codex Calixtinus, in the 12th century, basically related the journey of a French priest, and because it was a French priest, it was called the French way, although 99% of it is in Spain. On the first day from Saint-Jean to Roncesvalles or Roncevaux, you're crossing the border, right? So the French route is the most popular route. With the second route, that blue and purple routes would be the second most popular. I'm saying there are 2 routes that are a bit similar in the sense that both routes merge uh, 4 days before Santiago. So when you see that the last triangle, purple triangle, and the last blue one, they merge at some stage into Santiago. So the French way would carry 60% of the pilgrims mostly, and the Portuguese way 20%. So right away, all of the other routes are much less traveled. So if you are looking at how to choose the Camino, things that we ask is usually uh, what do you want to see? What do you prefer? Do you prefer rolling hills? Do you prefer this? Do you prefer that? And depending on the answer of our customers, we'll basically recommend them one route over the other. A few things to bear in mind is that uh, the French way, because it is the most popular, there is the biggest amount of amenities. All right, there are a lot of people walking the, the Camino, so you will find food and accommodation every 3 to 5 kilometers, roughly. Okay, so that means that it is easier to walk, to get food and so on. The Portuguese way, the last week into Santiago are pretty similar with accommodation, food every 5, 10 kilometers or so. And so it's easy enough as well. On other routes, you might, the accommodation and bars slash cafes are rarer, making the trip a bit more difficult in the sense that uh, people will need to carry food with them and have a bit more autonomy, just in case of rain and so on. So these are the few uh, things to think about. So most people walk the French way. Secondly, the Portuguese way is good, and there are other routes such as the Via la Plata, the pink one, which is very beautiful, full but very long, um, but very rarely traveled. The English way, the red one from Ferrol, the Finisterre way is particular in the sense that the Finisterre way walks away from Santiago to Finisterre or Fisterra, or the end of the world. Fisterra was thought to be the end of the world for most people before we discovered the Americas, you know. So that's something to be aware of. So let me move on to the next slide. How to do the Camino. So things to consider: what route to do bicyclists take? All right, good question. I'll go through that tip. So things to consider when you're going walking. If you want to do the Camino and get your pilgrim certificate, okay, it is not mandatory to get it. You can walk any part you want for your enjoyment. But if once you reach Santiago, you want to get your official pilgrim certificate, you need to be aware that you need to walk 100 kilometers into Santiago. If you are cycling, you need to cycle, 200 kilometers. So usually we just work the itinerary backward from how long you want to go for. If you want to walk 100 kilometers, cycle 200 kilometers, we're talking about roughly 5, 6 days of activity, and that's usually a week of time on the Camino. Uh, when you are walking, you need to have a reasonable amount of fitness, but we say that anybody can do it because walking, you go at your own pace. And because it's not a race, some people might arrive earlier, some people might arrive later. On the Camino, it doesn't matter. What is important is your own safety and enjoyment. So if you arrive an hour or two later than other people, you might miss out on a couple of glasses of wine, but that's about it. You still have a great time. Okay. Um, uh, Usually, when we organize walking holidays, we work around 20, 25 kilometers per day on average. 20, 25 kilometers equals 4 to 6 hours walking. I'm saying usually because sometimes it might be up to 28, 30, depending if there is no accommodation between two stages. We'll have to go that far. Uh, and it can be less as well. Same thing if we have the choice between 35 kilometers and 2 days of 17 kilometers, we'll go for 2 days of 17. But again, with your your follow the Camino agent, these are all the things we work out with you. Walking, we say, is more sociable because when you are walking, you can have 3 or 4 people walking side by side and chatting to each other. It is easier to make contact. It is easier to let somebody and to overtake them and to meet them an hour or two later and so on. So it is a more sociable experience. It's a slower experience, less mechanical. And so if you are thinking about cycling the Camino, uh, what we say is that you will have to cover 200 kilometers to get your pilgrim certificate. I would not go on to a cycling holiday unless I'm a regular cyclist. Cycling 50, 60 kilometers a day, while doable, uh, is something you need to enjoy because it's not as sociable. Usually, when you're with your friends, even though in some parts you can cycle side by side, having done it myself several times, usually it's a more lonely type of activity where you're behind your partner or in front of the partner. So just something to be aware of. Cycling, if you like cycling, that's great. Uh, Same thing, we can tailor the distances, guys, either walking or cycling. Some people call us and say, look, I want to walk 30 kilometers a day, and that's okay. We can organize that, no problem. Uh, or less as well, we can do days of 10 kilometers. We work all this out with you. But we'll tell you uh, that it is not a race. What I mean by that is if you go on the Camino, what we hope and what we'll try to bring to you is not to clock in as many miles as you can. Otherwise, you would be walking or cycling from sunrise to dawn. But we believe that you would miss out on the whole experience. The experience is about meeting people. It's about stopping by, going to the shop, sitting down, having nice food and nice beer. That's we believe part of the experience. Again, if you want to clock in the miles, we have also organized trips for long distance races and so on. But we're just trying to blend the best experience for you, depending on what you have in mind. On cycling, we organize your bike. So usually we go for 28 gears, aluminum frame mountain bikes, but we also have e-bikes available. So if the party is of various fitness level, it is brilliant. You could have the fitter person who wants to have a bit of a kick on the regular bike and the other person that wants to take it a bit more easier with the e-bike. Now mind that the e-bike requires people to action the pedals before giving you power. All right, this is just not to drain the battery too quickly. Okay, and on the bike, it is true that you get a bit more freedom. If you want to go visit that little chapel on the side of the trail, you can do that a lot more easily on a bike. Please do not hesitate to ask more questions if I'm not covering something. Huh? So cycling do's and don'ts. So what I was saying is that don't go cycling if you think that you're going to cover uh, more ground and be happier. It's unlikely. Okay, you might see more, but you have less time at each place. So I believe that cycling the Camino is for somebody that really has a bike and enjoys going once every couple of weeks on a spin for 2, 3 hours. All right. If you're only cycling 20 minutes a day or something like this, I'm not sure you would enjoy that. Also, do cycle the Camino if you can repair a puncture. Right, that basic stuff. But because you are cycling in a linear fashion or walking in a linear fashion, we're not 5 kilometers down the road and we can come to fix your bike. There is some logistic involved. So there is a minimum amount of things that we would advise you to be able to do, such as repairing a puncture. We have an insurance service that if there is a break, it is taken care of and we come and collect you. But it's just the hassle of it, I suppose. So do cycle the Camino if you think that it's easier than walking, no problem at all. Uh, and do cycle the Camino as well if you're not afraid of going up and down. All right, the Camino is hilly to mountainy. It is not flat. Some areas are flatter, but it is not just a cycle on flat land in the park. Why? Because you are covering a lot more ground, so you're going to see a lot more terrain differences, I suppose. Yeah, that's most popular walks. So usually uh, we ask people, how long do you want to spend on the Camino? If it is just 1 week, 1 week, 10 days, we'll get you, if you want to reach Santiago on your first trip, all right, to start around Santiago. And you will start 5, 6 walking days from Santiago, and you will walk into Santiago. The most popular will be the French Way. Again, the yellow one, the French Way, Section 8 from Sevilla to Santiago. This is lovely walk, lovely accommodations. You'll meet plenty of people. The downside is that it is busier, all right? So some people might want something a bit quieter. We usually will try to bring them away from the French Way for that reason. For something more quiet, maybe the Portuguese Way, the blue line, the Portuguese Way, Section 5 from Tui to Santiago is a good mix. You still have people, so you have a bit of crack and a bit of enjoyment, this kind of camaraderie on the Camino, but it's not too busy. Okay, the Portuguese Coastal Way, the purple line there from Oia or places to Santiago are also quite nice. And have sometimes on the actual coast. So it's something to consider. And then you've got routes such as the Camino Primitivo or Original Way, which are also lovely, quieter, or the English Way, quieter as well, from the coast, Ferrol, down to Santiago. So again, we like talking to you guys to see what you have in mind. Some people might have heard about something, and that can be a good starting point. Oh, well, I want to go to Portugal and do the Camino. Well, if you're staying 2 or 3 nights in Porto before your trip or after your trip, maybe the Portuguese way is a good bet, you see? So all of these things will help you to make a decision. So if I may ask, I'm going to ask a couple of questions so that I get you guys thinking and asking questions if you have them. Is anybody thinking about going for more than a week? Okay, if you're thinking of going onto the Camino for 2, 3, 4 weeks, if you want to do the full French way, please let me know and I can highlight that. Is anybody? So I've got one cyclist. Chip wants to cycle, so that's okay. Any other question on cycling would be great. It's fine for me. Yeah, that's fine, Sandra. That's great. Cool. So anyway, please do fire away. Those who want to do a longer route, great. More specific questions. If you want to know something about a specific town or a specific route, please do fire away, and I'll try to respond. So here I'm going to show you the last section of the French way, which is the most popular section from Sevilla to Santiago, just to give you an idea of a typical trip. Sharon, for example, for 7 days, or Sandra, 1 week. That's usually, or Stephanie as well, that's usually what you'll be looking at, something like that. So it's a 5 days, 5 working days. So from Saya to Porto Marin, 22K, Porto Marin to Palace, 25, Palace to Artua, Artua to Rua, and Rua to Santiago. All right. There is an option here from Palace to Artua, 29 kilometers, to split that in two. 2 days of 14 kilometers, because there is a nice village of Melilla in the middle. So that's something, again, we to talk to you about and see what you prefer. If somebody is coming for 8 days, 7 nights, that gives them 6 working days. So 8 days means Saturday to Saturday, for example, or Sunday to Sunday. If you're coming for that, you've got 8 days, 7 nights, and 6 working days. But if you walk this last section, Sarriá Santiago, in 5 working days instead of 6, you're getting, for example, 1 full rest day in Santiago to do sightseeing and to chill out. All right. So these are the type of things to consider. There is no right or wrong. It's more a question of want or not. Okay. And again, our agents, they really pay attention to what you want to make sure that you give you the best service. So we've got the landscape on the Sarriá Santiago is hilly with some wood, and it's quite green and lush. Okay, this is the Portuguese way. I'm just going to run quickly through that. It's similar type of itinerary and fitness and landscape, because Instead of arriving from the east, like the French way, you're arriving from the south. So it's still the same region, um, and so on. And that's typically a group of people that you will sight on the Camino. Nancy, I'm here for you. The entire full route. So if you guys are like Nancy and want to walk the full French way, first of all, what I would say is you don't have to do it in one go. If you can take the 35 days out, brilliant. Go for it. It's an amazing experience. But some people also break it down. If you break it down, you can also do the section 8 this year, well, next year, let's say, and come back to do other sections at different times. There is absolutely no problem with that. Usually the French way is divided in 8 sections and 35 working days. So the big cities you come across are Pamplona in Navarra, famous for the bull races. Logroño is the country of wine. Rioja, I'm sure a few of you guys are aware of the nice and tasty wine. Burgos, Sahagún is more of the midland of Spain, the kind of drier, uh, flatter area with the beautiful UNESCO Cathedral of Burgos, Sahagún, Leon, and then you enter Galicia, Ponferrada, and Sarria. Uh, so this represents 800 kilometers of walking. So that's 35 days. Okay. Uh, so what are the months for doing it? Great question. When can you walk the Camino? Uh, you can walk the Camino pretty much anytime, but we recommend between from March to October is the real season. Okay. Some people walk in winter and so on. It's just a bit wetter. Um, there are less people and so on. What I tell people is do not do the Camino because of your work. You can only go in January or in February. Okay, do go there, and we'll help you find the right route for that time, where we know you're staying where there is no snow and so on. Um, but the recommendation is usually to go more from March to October. The nicest time, well, I mean nicest, they are milder, not too hot, not above the 30 degrees. Like July, August, temperature will rise on the 28, 30 degrees Celsius, guys. Uh, but the kind of April, May, June, and September, early October are really nice between uh, 22 and 28 degrees Celsius. So that's really nice. Can we walk the whole French way on 15 kilometers daily? Yes, we can. I'm sure we might struggle in one or two places, but if we struggle in one or two places because there is no accommodation, usually we can organize a transfer for you where um, we pick you up in one spot and we plan that for you. We plan the exact spot and the time when you're picked up, and the next day we'll bring you back there. But on the whole French way, I'd say that must be once or twice. I don't think it would be too many times, right? Um, so possible. Uh, so I also want to walk in April, May of 2021. Nancy, that's fine. The full French way in April, May 2021, no problem at all. It is brilliant. Okay. So, any more question on the French way? I've given you 1 minute, guys, on 800 kilometers. Just to give you an idea of the landscape, you've got mountains on the first section to cross the Pyrenees. It's mountains, not mountaineering, okay? You can, there is no need for any special equipment. Just a good pair of hiking shoes will do. Walking poles if you like it, but do expect some incline there. Then it's hilly down to Logroño, flatter from Logroño to León. Ponferrada, we were crossing some mountains, the Leon Mountains there, and then it's hilly down to Santiago. Okay, so that's that. Let me move on. I'm reading a few questions as well as I go. So here, if we are cycling, these are, for example, the breakdown of our French way, which we have divided into 3 sections, just so that you have an idea of kilometers. So Roncesvalles to Pamplona. We don't start in Saint-Jean because it's a bit more difficult to bring the bicycle there, we can organize it if you like. There's just a bit of extra, but it's 40 to 70 kilometers. The way we've broken down the stages is that if they are longer, it's because they are mostly downhill or flat. And if they're on the 40, 50 kilometers, it's because you must have a bit of ascent, so we have shortened the stage, okay? Let me just question. Okay, what option if we cannot get to your next accommodation? What can I find in from the Portuguese coast of Cambodia? Altitude of Pyrenees, how Spain cities people join this one then to not ask to do the food northern way, but on the it's too long. Okay. I'm just going to go through a few questions here. With a trigger, so if you cannot reach your accommodation, if you've booked with us, what we do is that you have to know yourself. You have to know if you can walk 4 or 5 hours a day, right? If you're in doubt, what I would say is this weekend or next weekend, get out and try to go on a walk for 3, 4 hours. Try to see how you get on. I've guided many groups. I've worked with many people. I've advised hundreds of people over the years, and usually people are able to walk. Okay, walking more than a physical game, unless you've got some special physical condition, is a mind game. I've seen a lady, a Swiss lady, quite tall, quite big lady walking. She had had a heart surgery 2 years prior to that, but she was walking very slowly, but she was walking. So her day was probably longer than mine, but she was walking. So walking is a mind game. You should be able to make it. If you practice at home and this weekend or the next you go for a walk and you're like, look, after 10 kilometers, oof, I'm dead. I can't do anymore. Maybe we'll go for 10, 15 kilometers a day and we'll get a short day itinerary. That's something we do specifically for that. If you are walking 25K and you get an injury on the French way, for example, you can also either take a taxi or there might be bus services. I'm giving you general information. It depends where you are, okay? But on the last 100, 200 kilometers of the French way, it is easy in cafes and restaurants, you have a good few taxi numbers as well. You can just ask them and people are collected, all right? Where can I find from the Portuguese coastal way from Oya? Sandy, you can check out our website where we describe the itinerary. If you are interested in knowing more about it, contact us info@followthecamino.com and one of our agents will draft an itinerary for you. What is the altitude of the Pyrenees? Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port is at 800 meters, I think, and you have 1,000 meters ascent. So you go up to 2,000 meters the first day, but then you're going down and you don't go to that altitude again, okay? But you go at the season from March onward, there is no more snow. And again, it may happen that in March or April there is some snow. It does happen rarely, but you ask the accommodation, okay? They will see. But apart from that, April through to September, it's no problem at all. Use your common sense as well, in the sense that if it is really stormy and you see that a few people are hesitating, talk to people, see how you get on. Your safety comes first, all right? Tina, the full northern way, but I'm afraid it's too long. So Tina wants to do the full northern way, but it's too long. Look, the question about what you can walk, it's a question of your want and your time, especially if you're in good shape. If you have 2 months available, okay, and the finance to it, because obviously if the trip is longer, it will be a bit more expensive. You can do it. There is no issue. Usually when people walk for a longer time, the first week will be the hardest because the body is getting used to walking every single day. If we are walking on long itinerary, we will recommend you an extra day here and there, usually every 5, 6 kilometers. And usually in the bigger towns where we know you can either chill out in your nicer hotel or visit a few things, or there is nice pedestrian streets and so on. Okay, so we work that out. But if you know yourself that you're in good shape and have the time, the world is your oyster, my dear. Beatrice asked if there is a walking section in France on the Camino. In France, there are loads of sections on Le Puy route. Let me see if, well, I don't have the map there, but yes, you can walk on Le Puy. Um, this is just the cycling. Um, I'm just going through a few cycling itineraries, guys, while I answer some questions. So Le Puy is very beautiful. Um, so no issue with that. There are loads of questions. The first three sections are amazing. Le Puy-en-Velay has a UNESCO Heritage Cathedral. The village of Conques in section 2 of Le Puy-en-Velay. If you don't remember what I'm saying, guys, ask us, okay? I don't expect everybody to know it as much as I do. Uh, so Le Puy, section 1 and 2, very beautiful, pristine, but more mountainous, all right? Because you're in the central mountains of France, but amazing places. So a bit more challenging as well. Mountainous means more challenge as well. What is your fall ill? Yeah, great question, Stephanie. If you fall ill, it does happen. Not all the time, but it does happen. Um, Depends what you've got. For us, when you travel with us, you have a 24/7 emergency service. And I know I can get a taxi to anybody, anywhere within 30 minutes once I have identified where you are. Okay? Don't quote me, it's not guaranteed, depends the time of the day and so on. Uh, but usually within 30 minutes, we can reach out most people, most cases. So anyway, if you're at your hotel and you fall ill, what I would recommend is you to take a taxi to the next stage. People ask us if they can go with the luggage, and the answer is no, because luggage transporters have a license for luggage, not for people. And the Spanish government is kind of looking into it more and more. So we we you won't get a free ride, but either a taxi or bus. Depends again where you are. Between two cities, sometimes there is a main road with a bus stop in either, so a bus will do. And for that, you will ask the reception. Um, that's usually how we go. I had a couple last year, not a couple, sorry, a mother and her teenage son. The mother fell ill. I got her to take a taxi while the son was walking. Brilliant opportunity for the teenager to have a day on his own and to gain experience and maturity in a safe environment. And the mother could go to her next hotel and just read all day long and so on. So really, really, uh, there are solutions. For me, there is no problem. There are only solutions. Okay. And same thing if if you are ill for a couple of days, we can do that the next day. All right. Uh, Thanks, Wanda, for that. So this is a special cycling trip if people are a bit more uh, uh, they're fitter and more adventurous. You can cycle 100K a day. When you're cycling the Camino, it is mountain bike cycling, all right? It is not road cycling. If you're staying on the track, when you're cycling, actually, I'm going to go a bit about the track and how the track goes. Um, so when you are walking the Camino is well signposted in most places. Uh, you have some yellow arrows on lampposts, on curbs, on on road rails, and so on. So it's like you've got this queue every 100 meters, 500 meters, depending where you are, and so you follow it quite naturally. The Camino is the way to St. James. So you're going from wherever you are to that tomb of St. James in Santiago. So usually it is in a straight line. You should never really do a U-turn or anything too crazy. So French way, Portuguese way, all of these routes are super well marked. Okay, Plata, far away from Santiago, a bit less, but there is no issue. We also give you maps and we also give you a mobile app with the track and the triangle. You are the triangle, the track is the Camino. So even if you go for a coffee off the track, because there is a coffee place a few 100 meters down, it's okay. When you come back, whoop, you can come back right away on the track. So no issue for following the actual Camino. When you're cycling though, You can either follow the walking track, but you have to be ready to push the bike sometimes where you've got more stones and you've got slabs and so on. Does happen. Or you can follow a bit more the road. Usually, when you're cycling, you're not on your notebook all the time. You find a middle ground where if you see that the track is going to a place you want to go, you're going to take the track. Otherwise, if it's the end of the day and you can see that your arrival is in 10 kilometers and you can see the road sign saying arrival or your town 10 kilometers and you're tired, you might follow the road all the way. That's okay. Depends on everybody, but that's usually what happens. Um, my trip, my teammates on the group. Yeah, yeah, that's great. So we have that. Um, so we just before I go to the training program. Uh, so we organize self-guided holidays. If you want to start on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't care. We can organizing anytime, right? Just give us a shout and give us what are your time frame, and we can work around that. Okay, there is absolutely no problem, no change. The price is the same and so on. Okay. Then what was I gonna say? So we do self-guided where you're on your own and we give you all the kit, but you've got the phone assistant. Most likely we have other clients. You will see that after 1 or 2 days, you will see the same people in the hotel and people will be very friendly. Look at it this way. Unlike when you're walking in a natural park and everybody's going on their own track, here everybody is somehow funneling towards the same place. So it is very common. After 2 or 3 days, you will meet the other guys from the States or the other guys from Australia, and you chit chat and you have a drink with them or have dinner. Okay, it's very very common, um, and that's one of the beauty of the Camino is that it's very friendly and so on. We also have the guided tour, which here it's a group of maximum 14 people, led by one of our specialist guides. We'll share a video. If you go onto our YouTube channel, you will find a video of Fran, Francisco, or Sylvia, who are our two main guides, and you can just see who they are. They are brilliant people. Um, Anyway, and these groups are guided, which means that you've got a guide or coordinator in the sense that the guide is here to make sure that you don't miss anything, that you are safe, and so on. But there is freedom. Usually, the guide the night before says, "Okay, guys, tomorrow we've got 20K to walk. We're going to start at 9 o'clock. We're going to take a break here, and then we're going to take a break for lunch there, and so on." But you don't have to stick with the guide. It's your trip, so you have to get a bit of freedom. So the guide will set some rules or some checkpoints, I suppose. But it's really free, and you will see you will gain in confidence as you go along, and we love that. We call our guided tours make friends for life, because when you walk 5 6 hours a day with on the first day strangers, believe me, by day 2 or 3 you know a bit about their life and vice versa. So it's just something brilliant. uh, it's really good. So if you're thinking about traveling with your son Sharon, that's no problem at all. We can organize that. No issue. Training. I hope with the lockdown, all of you have been walking or running or doing anything more than usual, even gardening. Tell me, I'm curious. I would like to see that in the chat. Uh, so, training for the Camino, look, it's like everything. The more you do, the better it is, okay? Uh, but we recommend to train from 4 months before, but you can do that right away. And if you are starting from level, let's say zero, your level couch potato, we'll say. Try to walk 30 minutes a couple of times a week and maybe on Saturday 1 hour, something flat enough. Uh, and then try to build up after 1 month to 1 hour, a couple of times a week, maybe a bit of strength, a bit of stretching, and maybe one walk of 3 4 5 hours at the weekend. Try to do that and maybe try to clock in a hill or something a bit more challenging. Remember, walking, I don't think it's an ability or physical game, it's a mental game. So it's how do you cope with the pain. Walking, even for the fittest, they will sweat. It's not easy because you are exercising. but it's how you cope with that pain or exertion. So the more used to it you are, the better it is. And then we recommend that by the time you come on the Camino, we follow the Camino, you can walk 1 or 2 hours, a couple of times a week, and clocking a day of 6 hours with no pain. Saying that, most people show up and have no train and complete the Camino. All right. So I'm just saying that it's for your own benefit and your own enjoyment. Uh, if you are uh, if you are cruising instead of struggling, you will have a better time. Um, Also, it's important to the training to check your kit, your gear. Are you comfortable in these socks? Are you comfortable with these trousers, or do they drive you mad? The last thing, the last thing you want is to show up on the day with all your kit brand new and shiny, cutting the tags uh, on the morning you set up for walking, and after an hour, there's this zip in between the legs that drives you mad, or the shoes. I'm not sure you haven't broken them in and you're going to get blisters, right? So training is good as well to prepare yourself and your kit to know it and so on. I'm more comfortable walking in shorts or in leggings, whatever. Same for cycling. For cyclists, I'm sure you can use the same training and just cycle, and vice versa. Whether you walk or cycle, it's the same. It's just the fact of exercising. So have fun as well, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Packing list. Um, the packing list, that's something we might send to you after this talk in an email. Um, Most of our clients do get the luggage transfer. You can opt out, but guys, if we are doing some work for you to give you a good experience, the luggage transfer, it's part of it, right? Um, so it's very simple where if you've got the luggage transfer, you can bring more items, but it's the same type of items. Um, but basically, the thing you have to think about is the system of layers. And again, it depends what time of the year you're going. Okay, don't just bring t-shirts if you're going in March. It will rain, uh, and vice versa. Don't bring 3 coats and your 4 season jacket in June or July. It will only annoy you. Uh, so usually what I do is that I have my kit in advance, but you check the weather a week in advance or a few days before, because as you know, with climate change and so on, the weather is a bit more and more unpredictable. So we've had 32 degrees 2 years ago on the Camino in Portugal. You know, these are things that now happens a bit more often. And same thing, you could be in June and have a lashing rain for 3 or 4 days. So you have the main kit, and then you specialize it. You heat it, you put it warmer or cooler, depending on the weather. Even if the next 7 days is warmer, I would always have a polar fleece or small jacket just for the morning when you're setting off your accommodation at 8 a.m. Even in Spain, even in nice weather, the morning it's always a bit cooler. So just for the first half an hour while the body warms up, it's nice to have a polar fleece or a small jacket, and then shove it in your bag and you're fine. And same thing when you are walking, when you stop and it's a bit cooler or you're in the shade, you have to layer on so that you don't get sick. Okay, so casual, lightweight. On the kit, what we say as well, go for synthetic underwear, synthetic short t-shirt. I think they are better. Uh, Cotton increase shaving, so I would stick away from cotton. Cotton retain moist cools down your body. So usually they are not great for exercise. Um, yeah, and if with the luggage transfer, you can bring a hair dryer, you can bring a dress for the evening, a couple of extra pair of shoes, up to you. That's not. Again, any question? Yeah, Bob, great meeting you, and thanks for that. Any other question, guys, on kit or training or anything like that? I'm coming to the end of my part. Um, I hope I've answered a good few questions. What about pilgrim passport? Satyam, pilgrim passport, we send it as part of our holiday pack. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. We send it by post, usually 2 months before departure. We like that you have it well in advance. Um, the pilgrim passport is something you get stamped at each accommodation when you check out, or along the way in some cafes and bars. It becomes a bit of a ritual, and each stamp is actually quite nice, quite beautiful because you got the stamp of such town, such hotel. So it's quite nice to have. When you are walking the last 100 kilometers of the French way, you need 2 stamps a day. If you're walking for longer, one stamp a day is enough. So they just want to make sure that you are not on a bus tour. We don't do this. We don't do this. No, we don't. Anyway, I hope I've answered your question, Satyam, about the pilgrim passport. A pilgrim passport might also be available from your local or your country's association of the Friends of Saint James. So you can check that out as well. Otherwise, if you book with us, we send everything to you. We give you the official ones from Santiago. Okay, so that's what we do. Um, Guys, I'm just going to do a bit of promotion while you write questions. So, uh, look, guys, we need your business. Let's say it that way. Travel has been impacted. Our accommodation have been impacted. So, if you have saved a bit of money during the lockdown, well, we would appreciate your custom, uh, and we'll do our best to give you excellent service. We love our customers. Usually, to make a holiday booking, it takes a couple of months because from the image of the Camino you have now to what you're going to book, you're going to do some research. You might have a friend who wants to join you and have questions. So we help you with all of that. Um, but we will get you very good accommodation, always 8 plus on the main rating platforms. We don't go under 8 um, without letting you know. So that's what we guarantee you. We guarantee you good time. If there's a problem, we're here. We know the place inside out, so that helps. Um, we can have payment facilities and so on, and we even have a voucher. Okay, so you can use this code HYW3020, and that will be €50 off. So that's something great. You even have a 10% discount if you book now for next year. So look, it is very important that you have a great trip, and we really want to make it a success. That's what we do. Go on the TripAdvisor, go on to Google. People who book with us, they are really happy. Okay, and sometimes things happen, but we fix it right away. But it's very rare. Everything is so that you have a great time. Uh, Anything else, any advice, do talk to us on a one-to-one basis. We have a salespeople who are very experienced and really happy, really helpful. Again, uh, just experience it, get in touch, and you will see what I'm talking about. And would really appreciate you to inquire with us and to book with us. Okay. If there is no further question, I'm just going to wait here for a few questions. Question about the coronavirus. Actually, sorry, I had a question. And how far in advance do you recommend scheduling? So Shannon, for us, when we book, it's a first in, first serve. So the more in advance you book, the better it is. And we usually go to first choice accommodation until it's fully booked, and then we go second choice and so on. And we try to give you an average. Our objective, our motto is to give you an average of 8 um, star rating, satisfaction rating throughout. Okay, so if one day you got a 7.5, you will have an 8.5 or something. It's just to guarantee you the great service. Thanks, Sandy. And so if you want to book, start inquiring now, and you can book whenever you want. If you want to benefit from 10% discount before December, otherwise you can book next year. But if you want to make sure that you get the best accommodation, the earlier the better. Next year is a holy year, so it will be busier than other years. Never mind 2020, guys. Let's scrap that. Um, but Spain is open, has been open since the 1st of July, although I was talking to my guide Francisco, whom I mentioned earlier on, and he said that it's very quiet. A lot of hostels and hotels are closed. So we need business. We need you guys to come and go on the Camino. Book with us. It's very important. Uh, Added flexibility for future booking. If there is a COVID pandemic and you cannot travel because of the COVID, okay, not because of work, because of the COVID, uh, we'll offer a free day change free of charge. Okay, we we are very conscious that it's hard for everybody and that we are not in control of everything. So we try to be as flexible as possible on that. Uh, yeah, accommodations that we book are usually uh, close to the path. Indeed, if they are not, um, usually if it's more than 2 kilometers off the path, we have a free transfer included. Why I'm saying that? Because sometimes in some towns we like to bring you 8 kilometers down the road to a lovely guest house. Okay, that's what we do. It's not on the path, but it's where we believe you will have a great experience. So that's what we'll do. But usually they're on the path, maybe they're a kilometer after or before the center of the village, but it's a few hundred meters maximum. But great questions. I'm loving it, guys. So we have some people who are leaving. Really informative. I'll check out the website, Sandra. Do so. Any more questions, tips for anybody? I hope um, I hope I've given you uh, more want to do the Camino. Follow the Camino is here for you. You've got the discount code that I was mentioning earlier. Uh, we will send you an email to recap that as well so that you keep this. And that's it. What I would say is go out, practice, train locally. Okay, it's important as well. These people locally, they need you could come for a cappuccino and for a snack and a lunch here and there. So do that and come just for your Camino. It will be great. And thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Nancy, Shannon, and all of you. It was lovely presenting to you. I'm gonna leave the meeting in a few seconds if I do not get any more questions. For now, goodbye.